It is now recording. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Lisa and I'm the Viet vegan because I'm Viet and I'm vegan, and today we have the person who introduced veganism to me.
Hey.
This is Jessica. She's a poet and she does know it. We've been friends since before high school, actually.
Like grade 7?
Grade 7, yeah. We've been friends ever since. We've been nerds and classics club friends.
No one knows what that is.
Yeah, but like, I mean, for people who were in classics, they know what's up.
That's the only audience for
Yeah,
this.
yeah, pretty much. But today we're gonna be having a mukbang. If you recognize this soup, it's because I just posted this. There's actually a recipe already on my blog. I'll link it down below so you guys can make this and eat it along with us as we talk about things for the new year.
Yeah.
If you want to start eating, you can go ahead.
I do.
Yeah, go for it.
So good. I know how good of a cook Lisa is because we lived next door to each other for a while, like a few years ago, and I got to just be her guinea pig. The amazing vegan food.
Because we added more water, it needs more salt.
Uh-oh.
Unless you're okay with it. It's like undersalted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're gonna add soy sauce, one sec.
Who made the least flattering video ever?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be super attractive. So I've got
Super?
super attractive. All right, so we have some Golden Mountain seasoning sauce. It's basically like soy sauce, but better.
What's the difference for our viewers between tamari and soy sauce?
Tamari is just soy, whereas soy sauce is a combination of fermented wheat and soy.
Ooh, oh yeah, so that's why you have to have gluten-free. So, or some people need to have gluten-free soy sauce.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I added a little bit.
So do you prefer tamari or soy sauce? Or this?
I prefer that just because that's like what I grew up eating.
Just like seasoning sauce?
Yeah, well, it's soy sauce, but it's just like, they call it seasoning sauce because it has like a specific flavor blend to it.
So this is the same, how do you say this?
Thuong ya vi.
Vietnamese is so complicated.
It is
It's
weird.
what's it called? Invective language?
Inflective?
Inflective.
That's much better.
Mmm.
I might add a little bit more.
Get on in there.
Actually, no, that was good. So as Jess eats, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we're going to discuss today. Actually, it's bad practice to put the chopsticks
Oh
in
no,
there.
I just learned that.
How dare you?
Any other rules?
Don't play with your chopsticks. I see kids like just taking, I don't want to do it because I feel like my mom's gonna yell at me from like a mile away. But like people just like knock and drum with their chopsticks. Like, no, these are for eating. And also because like you don't want like to get bacteria out of a chopstick. Like this goes in your mouth.
True.
Right? So a lot of people go vegan for a multitude of reasons. Why did you go vegan?
I went vegan, so I've always been like an animal lover in general and grew up with a lot of pets, and always I think like fundamentally my values aligned with being vegan.
Okay.
Including not just not eating animals, but including like animal cruelty and not buying products that abuse animals or factory farming, etc. But it was just like most people, there's that sort of cognitive dissonance where you don't put together like what you do versus the reality of your effect in the world.
Definitely.
So what happened to me was that I had a mouse in my apartment, which is actually why I got a little tattoo, a little mousy friend. So I had a mouse in my apartment, or your apartment. That's the apartment that you lived in after me.
I got a mouse before I left.
I think mine came in my fridge because we got a
really?
new fridge.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So yeah, I like was gonna kill this mouse, and I like put down traps and everything, again like flip and kill this mouse. And then I just couldn't do it. Like as soon as I set them out, I was totally consumed by guilt, and it just made me put together that fact of like if I can't kill an animal, then I don't want to eat an animal, and just like very quickly it kind of came together for me.
Wait, so like how old were you when you went vegan?
It was 5 years this September.
Oh wow.
So how old? I was 21.
I think that was the same year I went vegetarian, and so I was like vegetarian, and then you're like, I remember I was such an when you asked me to bake.
About this new thing?
Well, it was Christmas that year, and you asked me to make red velvet cake, but vegan, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't know how to do that. It's so expensive, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, it's actually super cheap. I was like, can't you just like try a slice? And you're like, no.
Nah.
And I was like, ugh. And I was like, I was kind of an ass about it. I don't know if you realized or if
I don't
you
remember
noticed.
that.
In my head, I was more of an ass about it.
Probably just the irony factor has multiplied through time.
Oh yeah, that was my first kind of introduction to it, and like I was just kind of like, oh, she's vegan, like okay, whatever. She just
Those crazy vegans.
she's so extreme. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, a lot of people see veganism as extreme. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's kind of like once I put things together in my mind, it just makes sense. It's just like living
It's
in
logical,
line
yeah.
with your morals. Or my morals, anyway. Not to project that on
Who
them.
introduced veganism to you, or like how did you hear about veganism?
I don't think it was like introduced to me as something that I should try.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
my mom was vegetarian growing up, so I knew about that. But I mean, when I had that realization personally, it was like I just knew that I didn't want to eat animals, and then just knowing about the fact that like there's animal testing and factory farming and stuff, I just took that one step further to actually act on it.
So did you know about like the cruelty of the dairy farm? Or?
Yeah, I must have already then.
Okay.
Because then after my friend, even after I went vegan, my roommate tried to like show me Earthlings and stuff, and I was like, I don't want to see it. Like I already know.
I was already vegan when I started watching Earthlings, and I got to like, there's one scene where they're talking about pets, and they're talking about like street dogs and stuff like that, and how they would just like, there were so many there, it was such a problem that they would just like crush them in garbage things. So I couldn't watch it. I got to like the 15-minute mark, because like
that's the thing with Earthlings, they show you
it's so
everything
horrible
they're talking about.
Oh yeah, and it's like, and I didn't even get to like I didn't even know what else is in the movie. I just know that it's a really strong movie, and like a lot of people have been moved by it. But as soon as I saw that part, I'm like, oh my god, I'm never, like, if I ever do have a pet, I'm never gonna buy from a breeder. I'm going to adopt, so that like these animals don't get crushed in like a garbage.
Yeah, I know
so
a few people
sad.
who have adopted from other countries like that. But yeah, there's there's so many people who watch that movie and they're like vegan for like a week, and then they're like, never mind.
Oh really?
Yeah, I've like known a few people. But yeah, I got like 30 seconds into that movie, and they show someone like full on like killing a pig.
Murdering, I mean.
Yeah, in a factory farm, like nail through the head.
Yeah, I need to see him shake on the floor. Oh god.
Yeah.
I can't watch those.
Well, food. Dinner talk.
This dinner doesn't have any of that in it.
Yay. Only rice was harmed in the making of this.
No rice. There's no rice.
Oh, it's glass noodles.
These are mung bean noodles, yeah.
Oh, no rice was harmed in the making of this meal. Did you know about, I get, like, is that why you went vegan? Was kind of like from a more rational standpoint? Because mine was emotional, and then the more I learn about it, the more it makes sense for like environmental reasons and...
So this is funny because I just did a video about like my vegan story, but I didn't even explain what made me go vegan. I explained like how I went vegan, like what steps.
It's important to let people know the practical side.
Yeah, I initially went vegan for like skin reasons, for like health reasons. I was taking like a different kind of medicine. It was like Chinese medicine, so I had to like not eat meat.
I remember you taking that and you were like,
it's so gross.
So
it was
gross.
Like sludge. I went vegetarian for like 3 months. I think initially they told me like I couldn't eat anything but pork, and I was like, well, I might as well just like not eat meat. Like this is stupid. I went vegetarian for about 3 months, and then by the time I had finished taking the medicine, I was kind of like, you know, this is like way easier. I'm gonna stay with this. But I wasn't like, I still bought leather goods. I didn't care about like cruelty. Like I didn't know about cruelty free.
Well, that's the thing. Our society is set up in such a way to do everything to keep you from
knowing.
Like everything, you know, when you buy meat, it's prepackaged and it looks pretty and it's not, it doesn't look like the animal that it is. Same with, I mean, I've been looking a lot into fast fashion and things like that. It's just everything is done to keep you from, like now I sound like a conspiracy theorist.
But it is. And honestly, it is what it is, because like once you like are awakened, your eyes are open to like the reality of consumerism and how it masks everything, and how like our society only functions if people aren't aware. That's why our media is messed up. Now I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but
don't trust the media.
I mean, that's why things like YouTube have like blown up, because it's like individually created media. It's not controlled by other people unless they're like sponsored or whatever. But then, you know, people have to like think critically about like what they're watching, who they're watching, why they're making the content that they're creating. So anyway, back to veganism. So when I first moved to Toronto, I wanted to like volunteer for a new place, and I volunteered at the Toronto Vegetarian Association. The thing that like sparked it for me was this person, his name was Eric. He said to me, oh, like the cow is a someone, not a something. And I was like,
what's the term livestock always freaked me out.
Yeah.
It's like stock, like on a shelf that is alive.
And like, why don't we call pigs pigs? Like, why do we call it pork and poultry and beef? Like, why do we have all these like safer names for like the food that we eat or whatever? Like, no one wants to like, oh, I'm eating deer. No, like I'm eating venison. Like that's, like it's like a different kind of linguistic, well, it's cognitive dissonance. That's what it is.
Exactly. Like enforced cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, basically it's learned. So from there I started, like I was only vegetarian at the time, and then I kind of like, I started watching Forks Over Knives. I watched Vegucated.
Cowspiracy I just watched, and that's really good. It's
like
a really cheesy title.
Yeah.
But what I do like about that one is it's kind of like a follow me on my journey of learning about things style.
Oh, yeah.
Which I like, instead of just being, here are the facts, I'm the expert. It's like you're kind of watching this guy learn things and try to contact not corporations, but charities, like Greenpeace won't ever talk to him. And stuff.
They wouldn't explain like how problematic like
Yeah, and where their money comes from, which is like meat lobbying groups.
Because then you learn, like, for example, the school programs when you're a kid, like, they forced milk on kids, right? And that's...
And the food pyramid.
It's all government funded.
Yeah. Like, why do we need this much dairy in a day? Oh, because the dairy
industry
farmers paid for to have them listed
and then, like,
in the educational system.
Why is milk so much cheaper than soy milk? Because it's subsidized. And all that kind of stuff. So more things for you to be aware about. It dawned on me that, like, cows don't just, like, free flow milk. Like, they have to be impregnated, and then, like, if we're drinking their milk, then where do the babies go? And, like, before I was even vegan or vegetarian, I refused to eat veal, because I was like, that's so cruel. Why would we eat babies? Why would we take babies away from their mothers? And, like, just that sort of connection, I was like, oh, like, the dairy industry and the veal industry are very intertwined. If you don't support the veal industry, you shouldn't support the dairy industry either, because it's, like, cyclical. It feeds each other.
Yeah.
So...
I remember going to, after I was already vegan, I went to a friend's farm for, like, a little camping trip overnight friend thing. And he lived in a dairy farm, and I was thinking, like, he's a good guy, and I was like, oh, he's gonna, like, maybe I'll see that, like, the cows are treated well. And it was so, even though it was a really small farm, like, it was still, like, sad.
Because, like, if you think about it, like, how would you feel if you were chained up to the same spot and just stood there all day for, like, 8 hours milking or, like, being milked or whatever? And
Well, it wasn't that intense, but that one specifically because it was smaller.
Yeah, well, like, more industrialized farming. That's
Yeah,
that's
they
what cows
are.
do. They just stay in the same spot, or like even like sows, like sows. I don't even know English, man. Sows, like when they're like feeding their piglets, they are like kind of confined to this super small area that's like probably like the same width of this table, and they just lie there because that's like how they have to feed the piglets, right?
Yeah.
But like they're not allowed to like run around. They can't walk around. There's no room for them. They're just kind of like they just lay there, and that is what it is. And it's just like it's so industrialized. Like those animals aren't like beings anymore. They're things. They're
and it's
property.
treated with the most economy possible.
Yeah, and like it's
Actually,
efficient, but
I think it was Cowspiracy. I mean, I don't know. I've recently watched a whole bunch of documentaries all at once, but talking about how McDonald's led to a ton of industrialization of the food industry at large.
Yep.
Because the bigger they got,
the more they have to get.
Yeah, the more that they need the meat, and that needs to be a really very industrialized process, or like mechanized. Like even the way that they prepare food in their restaurants.
Yeah, because everything is pre-portioned.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like,
and they say they have people working like factory workers, where this one person does this one thing. Like they make the burgers. That's what they do. And
yeah, I worked at McDonald's for 3 years. There's like all the sauces are like pre-portioned, so it's like every single thing has the same, so it's consistent.
Yeah.
And then like
well, that's the thing. They're trying to have like I guess the idea is if you go to a McDonald's across the world, you're gonna get the exact same product.
But it's like it's all industrialized like that, which is kind of what you've had to do to like meet the demand of people nowadays.
It's strange that they kind of like are meeting the demand, but have also created that volume of demand.
Consumerism.
Boo. What's the classy way to eat noodles?
Is
there one?
Not really. You slurp them.
Slurp them.
Yeah. So we talked about why you're vegan. We talked about how I became vegan. I like transitioned over like 6 months because like if you even go back to my blog post, I'll write about, because I encountered a couple of people who were like, not like you, but they were like really aggressive and really judgmental. They're like, oh my God, I saw this person at a vegan event wearing leather boots. How dare they and whatever. But it's like, they probably haven't made the connection that like leather means like skin. They're like, oh, it's just like a byproduct of the industry. It's like, well, not really, because it's like, once you make the demand for it, they're going to create more for it, right? Anyway, I was like really turned off by like that, and I was like, I don't want to be associated with those people. I don't want to have any part of that.
That exclusive sort of mentality. Yeah, I've never been like that, and I've never liked pushing my ideals of any sort on someone.
Yeah, and like for some people, that's what turned them vegan. Like I think that the different forms of activism, it'll reach different people. So like people like Freely the Banana Girl, who like shames people into like...
Watch out, you're going to get in trouble saying that.
Well, whatever, I don't care. But like,
come for you.
Who cares? You know, like that sort of activism does reach some people. Like I know like Jasmine from Sweet Simple Vegan. I can't think of like other people, but there's like tons of different vegans who are now very influential, very like kind, compassionate vegans who were introduced to veganism from Freely. So like that form of activism does work. Sure, it does have like a negative connotation amongst certain omni groups, but most people who are like vegan, they're like, oh yeah, like whatever, it's Freely Banana Girl. But like,
or even PETA. I don't like how aggressive PETA is either.
Well, PETA also uses very problematic ways of promoting veganism. Like they exploit women in order to spread the message about veganism. But like, I feel like in some cases, people can see that like PETA prioritizes animals over humans.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's interesting because that means that like you're willing to put the lives of women, even though like they're like voluntary, like they're like, I would do this.
It's still exploitative in a way. The way that I see sort of the world is all systems of exploitation are linked when you start to make those connections.
Well, that's like the intersectional aspect of veganism, right? So like
intersectional feminism, intersectional veganism.
Exactly.
It all intersects.
It definitely
I've been thinking a lot about how veganism and maybe living waste-free and things like that, even though they tend to be cheaper, I wonder how it is sort of a classist approach, or maybe that living that way isn't accessible to everyone. Like, say, people who have to shop at Walmart because they're very poor.
Or they just don't have access to anything else.
Exactly. They're probably people who don't have a lot of money, work many jobs, and so they're being exploited by a capitalist system. They have to shop at this place, which is an exploitative capitalist system. They probably don't have time, because living waste-free, I love it, and it's very cheap, but it takes time, and not everyone has time for that if you have to work a lot of jobs. And so I can definitely see how, like, people get stuck where they are. And same with veganism. Maybe people don't have time to look into even how to...
It does take a lot of effort, because, like, I remember when I first, even when I was vegetarian, I didn't know half the things.
Yeah, it's just a lot of learning.
It is. And you're right, it does take time, and it takes, like, the patience, and it takes, like, if you're lucky enough, you'll have like a support system like I did, like the Toronto Vegetarian Association, for people to educate you in a non-aggressive and a non-judgmental manner. Some people may not be that lucky, and some people may find like maybe not necessarily the most reliable sources, like people who are vegan out there who have a very aggressive agenda and make videos that aren't necessarily completely correct. So there's a lot of people who thought like raw tofu or like the completely raw like vegan diet is like the only way to eat and whatever, but it's like it's not feasible for everyone. It's not accessible for everyone. For example, we live in Canada.
It's also not healthy for everyone.
Exactly. Everyone's body is different. Everyone, like, depending on your climate too, it just might not like jive. Like we like right now it's like winter in Canada. It's like December, so
we kind of have to order in vegetables and things like that.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
I meant like we can't really just like eat like raw fresh fruit every day because it's like your body craves warmth. Oh, I see. Right?
I was thinking more like eating local.
Yes, well that's the thing too.
And of course you can have preserves and stuff like that, but like I don't really only want to eat potatoes all winter.
There's like a lot of different aspects that make veganism like it can be very accessible depending on where you live. Like if you live in an urban setting like we do in Toronto.
Yeah, it's really easy.
It's super easy. There's so many different places for you to go out to eat. There's so many different bulk places. Yeah. You can order online and it'll deliver like within a week or sooner. Like I ordered stuff from iHerb and I got it within like 2 days. And it's but that's just because it was coming from the States and I live near a hub, right? So it was like really quick coming to me. So like if I'm ordering fresh fruits or fresh vegetables from like, I don't know, some place that does that.
You can order food from them?
Not from, well, you can order like dry goods from iHerb. You can do like nutritional yeast and flour or like coconut oil and that kind of stuff. But like V-Word Market, another place where I order from, they're from Toronto. I feel like I'm just plugging all these different things. Not sponsored. Yeah, V-Word. Vegan.
Oh. I went to this restaurant in Montreal, where I live now. I used to live in Toronto. Now I live in Montreal. I go to Concordia. And for my 5-year vegan anniversary, I went to this place called Invitation V. And it's like vegan fine dining, which there isn't a lot of, so it's always like nice to be able to have that treat. But then I went with all my queer friends, and they were like, Invitation V.
Where were we going with that? Accessibility.
I was talking about vaginas.
Oh yes, vaginas. Great things.
Diva Cup.
We could talk about Diva Cup maybe after.
You already talked a little. Didn't you already make a video about Diva Cups?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I talked about how I wasn't sure if I wanted to use a Diva Cup, or like I wanted to, but I was like afraid of it because I was afraid it was gonna be too big. It is a little big, but I
have a petite little vagina.
it's a little small, but
this is more of a dessert conversation.
Oh yeah.
It was not a good advertisement.
No, I'm just kidding. It's kidding. It's really not that bad.
Kidding. We both use them and we love them.
Yeah. Ha. Hello. We're back. So, a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. My card got full, so then we finished our soup, and that's it. So, thank you guys so much for watching. watching this video.
That's it. Bye.
We're gonna be filming other videos, so if you liked having Jess in the video and having this kind of conversation, this kind of chill vibe, let me know in the comments. Give this video a like. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a delicious day. Bye!